Think back when you were little. You were learning how to read and write. We all made mistakes because it was all new to us. We didn't know how to spell supercalifragilistic because it was just bizarre to us. We barely knew how to spell you, right? So we all made mistakes, and we made the simplest of mistakes. We made solid going to solid because we would switch around B and D. And these mistakes can be signs of dyslexia, which is early signs of dyslexia can be overlooked because they are so normal, because little kids make mistakes as they learn. But if those little kids continue to make those mistakes, that can be contributed to them having dyslexia. Maybe someone in this room has had dyslexia and has never really been diagnosed because those symptoms that they have been overlooked, as many have before. As a kid, I had trouble with reading and writing. I would switch around B and D. I would switch around numbers when I was adding. Instead of 2 plus 4, I would put 8 plus 4, and I'd get a minus something. And dyslexia is an illness that affects millions of people around the world, and we should be informed about it. Today I will talk about what dyslexia is and the symptoms, and then I will talk about the pros and cons and the treatment options that people with dyslexia have. So what is dyslexia? There is no one definition for dyslexia because it is a debated topic. But it is a learning disorder that impairs an individual's ability to comprehend and recognize written words. The symptoms to dyslexia. The symptoms to dyslexia is changing a word like saw to was. You can switch around those words so oftenly that the person doesn't even recognize that he is doing it because it is so natural to him. And they can switch around B and D, or switch around, if you're writing someone's number, you can switch around the last 2 numbers or somewhere in between, making it impossible to figure out whose number it really was. And okay, when you look around a room and someone in this room is dyslexic, you can't just point them out. You can't point them out like, oh, that person's dyslexic because he wrote down the wrong word. You just can't, because this illness is a hidden illness described by Habib Land and his researchers in dyslexia and dyslexic students in higher education in 2012. And he said that it's a hidden illness because you can't see it straight on. You have to be diagnosed with it through counseling, through going through your teachers, through seeing your work. You have to be diagnosed with it. Now that I talked about what dyslexia is and the symptoms to it, I will talk about the advantages and disadvantages that come along with dyslexia. The disadvantages are pretty obvious. You struggle with reading and writing, the basic thing that we all do. We communicate with writing and speaking. What if you hear someone saying the sky was blue, but you really interpret it as the sky's red? You just don't know what you're saying. You just don't know what they're telling you, and you can't write it down exactly the way that you hear it. So if you're taking a math test and you're in algebra or something, and you have to figure out a simple adding, like 46 plus 78, but you're really adding 64 plus 78. That could be the difference between a passing or failing grade. But that doesn't mean that dyslexic children are any less intelligent than the average person. Because according to Dr. Ray Bernard, he assures that dyslexic children and normal children have an average, the average same IQ, because they tested in 2012. And Annie Murphy Paul's The Upside to Dyslexia, written in 2012, the kids have a better peripheral vision. It's been discovered that they have a better peripheral vision because they can concentrate on the bigger picture. And they've made a study in which there was a screen full of pure L's just on the screen, and there was one T in the whole screen. And dyslexic children were seeing that they could find the T in the screen a lot faster because their eyes were sharper for the little things. Okay, and the dyslexic children are seen to be more intuitive, instinctual. They know what they're supposed to do and they go by their first instinct. They have a natural talent. They might have difficulty with reading and that, but they do have things that are good, and they're spontaneous with what they do because they know that they can do mistakes. Okay, and the treatment for dyslexic children is not to reprimand them for the things that they do wrong. You have to encourage them for the things they do right. And when they do something wrong, you have to sit next to them and teach them how to do it the right way. You have to explain to them how to do it. And counseling is the only way that dyslexic children can minimize the negative impact that dyslexia has on children. And now that I've talked about what dyslexia is and the symptoms to it, and the pros and cons, and the treatment options, I will tell you guys that dyslexia is affected to many people in the world, and you guys should be informed. And next time, be considerate when someone misspells a word or reads something the wrong way, because it might not be their fault.